So you think this could be dangerous for Jake Paul?
Oh my goodness, without a doubt. Now the governing bodies now have got to look at this. Would they sanction this fight in any other dimension? No, they wouldn't. But unfortunately, boxing is now more business than show. And this is business. And so the sanctioning bodies aren't going to say, no, this kid doesn't deserve to be there.
Shocking news just dropped. Anthony Joshua allegedly knocked out Oleksandr Usyk in sparring, sending him straight to the hospital. If this is true, it's a brutal reminder of Anthony Joshua's raw power and shows that Jake Paul doesn't stand a chance in comparison.
It's great man. It's great boxer. It's Olympic champion.
Anthony Joshua explains the intensity of his sparring sessions, showing that even the best can trade shots. But it is clear he dominates in skill and power. His ability to control the exchanges proves why Jake Paul would struggle against a real heavyweight like Anthony Joshua.
I get hit a few times, he gets hit a few times, he gets hit more, gets hit a bit more.
Oleksandr Usyk himself praises Anthony Joshua's skills, admitting that size alone does not win fights. The focus on technique, speed, and intelligence shows that Anthony Joshua's sparring dominance is more than physical power. Even a champion like Usyk recognizes the gap, making it obvious that Jake Paul would be completely outclassed.
Size doesn't matter. If size matter, king of animal would be elephant.
Yeah.
But if you wanna, firstly, your skill, your mind.
Derek Chisora highlights how sparring exposes mistakes and teaches lessons immediately. Anthony Joshua's ability to punish errors while maintaining control shows his superior ring IQ and adaptability. When even trained pros learn harsh lessons from him, it is impossible to imagine Jake Paul surviving a round.
Totally different. Sparring, you're there to learn. So the guy you knocked out in sparring, he's understand, okay, I did this silly move, that's how I got knocked out. So I'm gonna have to stop doing these silly moves so I don't get knocked out.
Eddie Hearn emphasizes the importance of consistent, high-quality sparring for Anthony Joshua. Spending time with elite partners like Oleksandr Usyk sharpens his technique and confidence, proving that his skill level is leagues above anyone like Jake Paul. This kind of preparation ensures he is unstoppable in the ring.
Camp, living in camp, training with him day in, day out. And it made a big difference in the fights. I think he knows that the way that he's going to improve is time in the gym and also the quality.
Carl Frampton insists that Anthony Joshua's power and precision are devastating. Even a champion like Oleksandr Usyk is tested in sparring, yet Anthony Joshua would dismantle someone like Jake Paul effortlessly. It confirms that his skill and strength make him untouchable for fighters with no real heavyweight experience.
Why do you think it doesn't harm AJ?
I don't think it does do harm.
Why?
Because I just think he goes and if it's a real fight, he'd go and blow him away in a round. That's the end.
What if he doesn't do him in a round? Is that?
Oleksandr Usyk praises Anthony Joshua for his Olympic background and professional skills, showing the massive gap between a true champion and someone like Jake Paul. The message is clear. Experience and proven technique win, and Jake Paul is not ready for this level of challenge.
Last fight, it's great. Because Anthony is Olympic champion, Francis Ngannou, it's second fight for boxing. Listen.
Sam Jones points out the terrifying reality of Anthony Joshua's power. The same force that floored Francis Ngannou would utterly overwhelm Jake Paul. Sparring with a fighter of Joshua's caliber leaves no doubt that anyone stepping in with him is in serious danger, especially someone without real heavyweight experience.
All joking, but nobody wants any permanent damage to happen to Jake Paul. But if Anthony Joshua hits Jake Paul with the right hand he hit Francis Ngannou with, he could brown bread him.
David Benavidez makes it crystal clear why Anthony Joshua is in a league of his own. He is not just a champion. He is a multiple-time world champion and an Olympic gold medalist. The last time an underexperienced fighter faced him, it ended in disaster for that opponent, proving how unforgiving Joshua is in the ring. Jake Paul, despite his hype and social media fame, is nowhere near this level. Every punch Joshua throws is precise, calculated, and devastating. And his experience ensures he will dominate anyone lacking proper boxing pedigree. The gap between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul is not just noticeable, it is enormous and impossible to bridge.
Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. You know, he's multiple-time champion, Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? The last time somebody stepped in the ring with him that didn't have that much boxing experience was Ngannou, and you've seen what happened to him. But
Gareth A. Davies delivers a harsh reality check for Jake Paul and his fans. Jake Paul is at best a British area-level fighter in the cruiserweight division, and stepping into the ring with a true heavyweight like Anthony Joshua is almost unthinkable. Watching Joshua dismantle someone like Oleksandr Usyk, a highly skilled and technically brilliant fighter, shows exactly what he is capable of. To imagine Jake Paul standing in that same ring is absurd. Joshua's precision, timing, and power are overwhelming, and the gulf between a genuine elite heavyweight and a social media star is staggering. Jake Paul is simply not equipped for this fight.
I completely agree with Ben. I mean, that's the biggest issue with the fights. You know, let's be fair. Jake Paul is an area-level fighter, British area-level fighter. That's where he's at as a cruiserweight. He's stepping in against a very big heavyweight who's a massive puncher. Just go back to the second fight with Oleksandr Usyk. Look how great Oleksandr Usyk has become. And you go back and look at some of the highlights of Joshua's attacks on Usyk and gave him a really hard...
Derek Chisora leaves no room for doubt about Anthony Joshua's dominance. He describes this matchup as an easy fight, making it obvious that Joshua will not need to struggle at all. Jake Paul lacks the skill, experience, and physicality to stand a chance against a fighter of Joshua's caliber. Chisora emphasizes that Joshua will finish him with precision and authority, showing exactly why every commentator and former fighter respects his power and strategy. This isn't a contest. It's a showcase of Joshua's unmatched skill against someone who simply does not belong at this level.
Easy fight for him. And I think this should be laid to rest, because I don't think AJ's going to go in and try and pat. AJ's going to smoke him.
Logan Paul highlights Anthony Joshua's physical and technical perfection. He's not just a boxer. He is described as a perfectly sculpted athlete, the ideal combination of size, strength, and skill. Facing someone like Jake Paul, who relies more on hype than actual boxing experience, is a completely unfair matchup. Joshua's attributes are tailor-made for dominance in the ring. Every movement, punch, and defensive maneuver is executed with unmatched precision. Logan Paul's insight reinforces that Anthony Joshua is a natural champion, built for these challenges, and no social media star could hope to match his caliber inside the squared circle.
Anthony Joshua's 6'6".
Okay.
My brother's 6 foot. This is a guy who is already perfect. Like, if you could sculpt like a perfect gladiator human being, it's Anthony Joshua.
Duke McKenzie brutally exposes Jake Paul's vulnerability against Anthony Joshua. He paints Paul as a soft target, someone waiting to be overwhelmed by Joshua's power. Promoters may even be trying to protect him with easier fights to inflate his confidence. But none of that matters when facing a true heavyweight like Joshua. Joshua's precision, timing, and devastating power will dominate from the opening bell, likely ending the fight early. This is not speculation. It is a prediction based on skill, experience, and past performances. Paul simply does not belong in a ring with Anthony Joshua, and everyone watching knows it.
You know what? I need to get my fighter a couple of easy ones just to get his confidence back, so he can bring him back to the fore, bring him back to everybody's imagination. Everybody sees him knocking somebody out, looking good doing it. So this guy's made for Anthony Joshua. It'll be another Ngannou early night for Joshua, where he gets a little bit of confidence.
Spencer Oliver paints a stark picture for Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua's power and skill were fully displayed against Francis Ngannou, showing he can dismantle opponents from other disciplines with ease. Jake Paul's experience is nowhere near comparable, and he has already failed against even moderately skilled professional boxers. Oliver stresses that this fight is on a completely different level for Paul, and the gulf in experience, power, and technique is immense. Anyone stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua without proper preparation and pedigree will face a brutal reality. Jake Paul's hype cannot compete with Joshua's elite-level skills, and Spencer's assessment underlines the danger Paul is in.
God help Jake Paul, that's all I can say. We saw that what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. He went out there and iced him in a couple of rounds. A guy coming from a different discipline. Well, this kid's coming from another level. You know, white-collar boxing in 2018, gone through the mill, and the only boxer really that he's actually boxed, a legitimate boxer he got beat by, and that was in Tommy Fury. Now,
Tony Bellew makes it abundantly clear that the fight will be entirely one-sided. Anthony Joshua dictates everything inside the ring, from pace to power, and the outcome is controlled completely by him. Jake Paul's lack of technical skill, experience, and true heavyweight experience means he cannot threaten Joshua in any meaningful way. Bellew's confidence in Joshua's ability to dominate shows that this fight is practically predetermined. Every punch, counter, and combination will be executed by Joshua at his discretion, and Paul will simply absorb punishment. The physical and strategic gap is overwhelming, making it obvious that Joshua holds total control in a fight that Jake Paul is completely unprepared for.
Because if Anthony Joshua puts 10-ounce gloves on and gets in a boxing ring and Jake Paul is in the other corner, this won't last long. This will last as long as Josh wants it to last. Simple as that.
Derek Chisora lays down the brutal reality for Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua has the skill, power, and experience to end this fight quickly, just as he did with Francis Ngannou. If it goes beyond 3 rounds, there may be a hint of uncertainty, but Chisora clearly predicts a decisive early finish. Joshua's knockout power is immense, and Paul simply cannot withstand the precision and force that Joshua brings. History proves Joshua finishes fights efficiently, and Paul lacks the conditioning, skill, and ability to extend the bout. Chisora's analysis emphasizes that Joshua is the dominant force in the ring, and that Paul is stepping into a scenario far beyond his capabilities.
Jake Paul? No, I don't back Jake Paul. That means, what is it you're doing? You have to smoke him in 3 rounds. The same way he did Ngannou. How many rounds was Ngannou?
2, second round.
Exactly. So he has to smoke him.
Johnny Nelson highlights a worrying reality for Jake Paul. The fight is incredibly risky for him, and under normal circumstances, the governing bodies would not sanction this mismatch. Boxing is shifted toward business and entertainment, allowing such dangerous encounters for profit. Nelson's concern underscores the immense disparity in skill and experience between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Joshua's elite status and knockout power make this a severe test for any unproven fighter, and Paul is taking a gamble that could end disastrously. Despite the spectacle, the danger is real, and Nelson's perspective reinforces that this is not a fair contest, but a business-driven opportunity that Paul may regret.
So you think this could be dangerous for Jake Paul?
Oh my goodness, without a doubt. Now the governing bodies now have got to look at this. Would they sanction this fight in any other dimension? No, they wouldn't. But unfortunately, boxing is now more business than show. And this is business. And so the sanctioning bodies aren't going to say, no, this kid doesn't deserve to be there.
Frank Warren confirms what every fan already suspects. Anthony Joshua is the overwhelming favorite in this fight. As a natural heavyweight, 2-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist, his credentials are unmatched. His power, technique, and ring IQ make him nearly impossible to challenge for someone like Jake Paul. Paul's 12 fights and lack of proper amateur background simply do not compare to Joshua's accomplishments and experience. Warren makes it clear that this fight is unbalanced, with Joshua's dominance almost guaranteed. Fans should recognize the magnitude of this mismatch and understand that Paul is stepping into a scenario that is far beyond his ability to compete at a serious professional level.
AJ's a massive favourite. He's a natural heavyweight. two-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. We all seen him. He can punch, he can bang. You see what he done to Ngannou. Jake Paul, I don't think he's had amateur experience. He's had 12 fights, I think.
The stakes could not be higher as Anthony Joshua prepares to face Jake Paul. Joshua's power, skill, and experience make him an almost unstoppable force in the ring. And every analyst, former champion, and trainer agrees that Paul is stepping into a fight far beyond his capability. If Joshua wins, it will cement his dominance as one of the greatest heavyweights of this era, showcasing that his Olympic pedigree and championship experience are on another level entirely. If by some miracle Jake Paul pulls off an upset, it would shock the entire boxing world. But every prediction and expert commentary suggests that outcome is nearly impossible. Mentally, Anthony Joshua is focused, disciplined, and battle-tested, whereas Jake Paul relies more on hype and spectacle than real boxing ability. Fans should prepare for a showcase of Joshua's precision, power, and dominance. And there is no doubt that this fight will serve as a reminder of why he is a true heavyweight champion. Are you backing Ant?